And these are very fantasy relevant. The Bills are 9.5-point favorites traveling to Chicago. A massive line here. The over-under set at 40.5. I think the big question with this game, guys, is trust. And with the Bills, we often ask, do you trust Motor Singletary?
No.
Do you trust a Gabe Davis? It's an outright no. I know Gabe Davis is somebody you say you're either starting him every week or you're just out entirely.
I think you're out entirely, though. So, it again, sort of depends. He's my wide receiver 32, so I'm outside the top 30. I'm as a high-end wide receiver 4. In games in which he doesn't score a touchdown, he's averaging under 7 fantasy points per game. He's been single-digit fantasy points now in 4 straight. So, the only argument for starting him is, he's due. I'm hoping for a prayer. There's no statistical.
There's hope. You got it.
There's hope. There's hope. I mean, he's had a 15% target share over the last 4 weeks. They'll take a couple of shots to him, and you're hoping one of those pays off. But and it's a decent matchup against Chicago that allows the 5th highest completion rate on deep passes, and he is going to get a deep shot or two. So nothing would surprise me with Gabe Davis. If he has 30 points, I would believe it. If he has another 7.5-point game, I would believe it as well. I just sort of feel like if you're in the playoffs, you've done so either without Gabe Davis or despite Gabe Davis.
Right.
And for me, I'm probably looking elsewhere. I also want no part of Devin Singletary, right? I mean, again, he's had under 55 rushing yards in 3 out of 4. He's played under 50% of the snaps in 2 of the last 3. They're using James Cook. Again, it's still a pass-first offense, and Nyheim Hines all of a sudden is showing up occasionally. It feels like a 3-headed monster, and you're hoping that he falls in the end zone for a touchdown, which could happen, but he's a low-end flex for me. He's running back 29.
I would say, I feel the way you feel about him, but I would say with Devin Singletary and Gabe Davis here, looking at the over-under, looking at the spread, I have definitely more hope for Devin Singletary. They get there around that goal line. If Josh Allen don't take it in, usually the next guy in line is Devin Singletary. So, we ain't throwing the pom-poms for either of these dudes, but I feel a little better about Singletary than Gabe Davis.
Lawrence, when you say throwing the pom-poms, is that where – when you grew up,
when T.O. did the little thing.
I was going to say, shake the pom-poms?
Yeah, I meant
the pom-poms is what angry cheerleaders are at your games?
I meant to say shake the pom, because I was thinking about T.O. when he took the pom-poms.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so no pom-poms for any player, no pom-poms for neither one of these dudes.
I got it. It was like, what cheerleaders are
throwing them out on the field?
Cheerleaders be mad as hell at my high school. We stuck.
Were you guys bad?
Yeah.
Staying in this game, Lawrence, Justin Fields. I mean, are we at the point where he's just matchup proof? Because the line tells you the Bills are going to blow out the Bears in this game. That's the expectations. But does that even matter in terms of Fields sitting or starting? Because I think everyone's just playing him at this point.
Yeah, who you starting over Justin Fields? Let's be real. I don't care about no good matchups. Justin Fields is one of them dudes when it comes to – and when did we figure this out? 8 weeks ago? 9 weeks ago? This is not even really worth even speaking on. You are starting him at the Bills. I don't care about the weather. He playing Chicago too. So, yeah, man, this is a quarterback you need right now.
8 straight games with 18 or more fantasy points. He is matchup proof. He's my quarterback 4 this week. The game's in Chicago as well. Bills, by the way, have been good, but they haven't been great. I mean, they've given up at least 230 passing yards in 3 of the last 4, so it's not like teams aren't moving the ball at least a little bit against them, obviously. Tua had a usable game against them last week.
Can run against them, too.
You can absolutely run against them.
On
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
You're starting, don't get cute. You're starting Justin Fields. You're also starting David Montgomery.
Yes, sir.
I know that Herbert's back, but I have him as a top 15 play this week. He's got at least 15 touches in 4 straight games. And, the fact of the matter is that I still think in Herbert's first game, he gets 60% of the snaps against them. Look, I think you're lowering expectations, but you're still starting. David Montgomery this week.
Yeah, and on the screen right now we had Montgomery's stats since week 11, since Herbert has been out. He's been highly productive making that backfield.
Yeah, he's been good. I mean, that's the other thing is there's some passing game usage as well for him. He caught a touchdown pass last week as well. I feel like he'll have more passing game usage than Herbert in this one, in a game in which they're almost 10-point underdogs. Yeah, more low-end RB2, higher flex than he is, locked-in starter that he has been previously, but I'm starting David Montgomery this week.
Let's move over to the Commanders traveling to play the 49ers. The 49ers are 7-point favorites. The over-under is set at 39.5. The Heineke Brock Purdy show. Not something we expect to say before the season started.
So what's the line?
39.5.
39.5. But I'm just saying that Niners are favored by 7?
7. Yep.
It's favored by a touchdown. So that means that John Hussey and his crew are not working this game. Because it'd be more, honestly, if they had to face that crew again. Look, I've said this before. I've said this all week, and I want to give my credit. I want to give a shout-out to John Hussey and his crew. Like, they beat the Commanders, fair and square. Like, you know what? Commanders gave it their best shot, but ultimately, the refs did a great job. They closed it out. They
did what the Eagles couldn't do a month ago.
Exactly. They committed where they needed to. And, listen, the refs are now the 6th seed in the NFC East. I'm sorry, in the NFC playoffs. They're the 6th seed. Yeah.
Lawrence, we know how good this Niners defense is.
I will never get over that game.
I
don't know if you've noticed that.
I know. I was here Monday. We did 30 minutes on it to open the show.
Least.
It is now Wednesday. We've got our way back.
I'm still not over it.
I'll be back Friday. We'll find our way.
The Commanders could win the Super Bowl this year, and I will still bitch about this next year. I'm just warning you guys.
Because you could have had that extra win.
It could have been. It's that egregious. I had Brian Robinson going in the league. I needed the touchdown.
It's the Robinson touchdown.
The Robinson touchdown as well. I had Curtis Samuel, believe it or not, going in a super deep league. Could have, Anyway, I will never get over it.
This Niners defense, Lawrence, does that give you any concern for, it's crazy to talk about concern for Terry McLaurin, but even somebody like Brian Robinson, just because they've been so effective pretty much week in and week out?
Yeah, I ain't going to lie. I'd be pretty nervous about, it's dudes you can't sit right now, especially Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, you're not sitting him.
But you gotta temper the expectations. Like, this defense is, I watch him every week, and I'm like, who's going to break through and, play some offense against – it's the Chiefs, the last ones that did it way back when. They put up 44 on them. They haven't allowed a running back to reach 60 yards all season. 60 yards. That ain't a lot. Yeah. So it's going to be tough for your crew, Matthew.
It's going to be very tough for them, which is why it was so important that they beat the Giants and at least get, good calls, and they weren't able to. Here's what I'll say. I agree with you. You're starting Terry McLaurin. The target share is too much. The talent is too much. If there's one way to attack, the Niners' defense is awesome, but it's easier to attack their secondary than it is their defensive line.
Yes.
It is worth noting that over the last 4 weeks, the 49ers are 19th against the pass in terms of they've given up the 19th most yards 19th most passing yards per game over the last 4 weeks. And so I think you're starting him. But, yeah, I'm out on Brian Robinson. I'm out on Jahan Dotson. I'm out on anyone that's sort of like on the fringes there. McLaurin, I feel like, is the only commander you can feel comfortable starting in this game. I also don't love – by the way, the Commanders have a pretty good defense as well. Like, if you've been rolling with Brock Purdy, okay. You're starting McCaffrey, of course. You're starting Kittle, of course, because he's a tight end. But don't think I'm trusting Brandon Ayuk in this one as well.
It's been a rough go.
Two back-to-back bad games on Brandon Ayuk, who's had under 3 receptions in 2 of the 3 games that Brock Purdy has been under center. They're going to run the ball, the Niners, right? The last 3 games, they're 4th in rush rate. They don't want to ask Brock Purdy to do too much. And so, he scored the touchdown in Week 14, but I don't know.
They're going to run and set up the offense for wide open passes, which is what happened for George Kittle on one of his touchdown runs. You see it in the numbers for Kittle. 4 receptions, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was clearly, it was set up by the run and Christian McCaffrey getting going. It's an all-hands-on-deck type of offense right there with Christian McCaffrey leading the way. So Brandon Ayuk could go out there and get 7 receptions for 90, but he's been getting 2 and 3 because it's just what the offense calls for.
Yeah, it's a rookie quarterback that the comfort is with throwing to the running backs and the tight end.
Yeah, and he's doing his job.
And that's what Shanahan is going to scheme up for him. Moving over to the AFC, the Bengals, 3.5-point favorites, traveling to Foxborough to take on the Patriots. The highest over-under out of the 3 games we're discussing here at 41.5. I'm sure that is heavily due to the Cincinnati Bengals offense. Listen, the bottom line is the Patriots still have a good defense here, guys. We can laugh at them as much as we did last week for how the game ended, but is there any concern for the Bengals offense due to the matchup?
No.
across the board, right? Obviously not just Burrow and Chase and Higgins, but even down to Boyd and the running backs.
Boyd, there's concern, right? I mean, Boyd has had under 50 receiving yards in 5 of the last 6 healthy games that he's played. He paid off with a touchdown last week. I don't know that you can expect that against the Patriots. So, but I mean, like for Higgins and Chase and Burrow and Joe Mixon, I think you're starting him. My only concern with Mixon is, he's more of an RB2 than the RB1 he was drafted at, because Samaje Perine has carved out a legitimate role in this offense, and rightfully so. So since he returned from injury, Joe Mixon is playing under 65% of the snaps. Now, Perine's not getting enough work that you would care about Perine, but he is getting enough work that you have to lower expectations for Mixon. That said, I don't think you can bench him. I don't know that you have better options here. And on the other side of the ball, the only Patriots relevant player here, fantasy-wise, is Ramondre Stevenson. We'll see if Damien Harris comes back as well. They were both limited. They're both listed as limited during Tuesday's practice, Harris and Stevenson. But Ramondre has had at least 16 touches in every healthy game since week 3. He's had over 70 yards in every single one of those games. Over 20 fantasy points in 2 of the past 3. He is a man among men out there. Ramondre Stevenson, what we talked about in the preseason. Gotta be the best bargain. Right. He was on a preseason love list. I was like, this guy should not be drafted after Damien Harris. He is one that has made me look smart in a call that has worked out. I don't know how, after what he did last week, even if Damien Harris is active, how you're benching Ramondre Stevenson. He's a top 10 play for me this week, regardless of the health status of Damien Harris. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.